just state your full name for the camera for me?
Shakieta Maloye.
Okay, awesome. And I got this. Okay. Make sure. Oh, that is me. It's a good memory. It's very nice to meet you. And you have a choice. You can look at the camera or you can look at me. Okay. You can want more conversational. It'll pick up. It'll translate very well either way.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so these are some guiding questions. I will try to pace myself. Sometimes I get really excited, but it is all about you, your experience, your organization. So you'll probably hear me, like if I'm talking, I'll probably break up just to make sure that I'm not interrupting you and that we, especially when we cut and splice it, that it's not mostly me talking. Okay.
Got it.
All right. Awesome. So let me see here. Okay. So where is home for you right now?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. And where were you born?
Florence, South Carolina.
Okay. When did you move to Charlotte, North Carolina?
1998.
Okay, cool. I wasn't born here either, so that's cool. Coming from Arkansas.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, where did you go to school here?
I started out at East May, but ended at Central Piedmont.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said that you had that you acted before, and that brought you here. Can you explain that to me?
Well, no, it didn't bring me. I was already here. Okay. Well, I always wanted to. I knew I was tall. I wanted to. I was told that I should be a model, and so I tried it. Mm-hmm. I went to acting and modeling school, John Casablanca, for a short time. To just learn different things, learn poise, just learn me. I had to learn me. I was taken through acting and modeling school to reprogram and retrain who I was and where I came from.
Oh, wow. I understand that too. So it helped you establish and get like confidence in yourself. Okay. Understood. Mm-hmm. Describe your experience during the last 2 years and more of the COVID-19 pandemic.
COVID-19 pandemic, it was bittersweet for me. The start, and COVID-19 happened in 2020, but we kind of started seeing signs in 2019. And in 2019, I lost my mom right before COVID, before they called it, before they declared it an emergency around the world. I lost my mom. And I lost my mom. And then after I lost my mom, I went through a divorce. And so that was the bitter part, right? The sweet part was my new beginning. And with my new beginning, I formed Another Chance House of Refuge.
Oh, that's awesome. So if you don't mind me asking, I'm so sorry to hear about your mom.
Thank you.
She didn't die of COVID.
No, she actually, she had heart failure.
Oh, okay.
She had an outpatient procedure, that went wrong, and it caused her to have heart failure. And she died a year later.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
No problem at all. I resonate with that too. My dad had
Girl, don't get me crying.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus. I'm good with that too. I've been good. I've been doing good. Right. We good. But it shows. It's truth. It's transparency. And so, grieving, there isn't a end date on grieving. You just learn how to cope over time.
Absolutely.
And so because I was fortunate enough to take care of my mom, she had the procedure May the 1st, 2018. She passed away September the 13th, 2019. I was fortunate enough to take care of her. Into her last breath. I was holding her hand. I watched her take her last breath and her last heartbeat. And so I got satisfaction off of that. And then even down to her assigning me, because I'm the only girl and the oldest child of 3. And so her funeral, I did everything. And that what gave me satisfaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I resonate with that deeply too.
Yeah.
And like you said, I believe in open exchange. I don't believe in just expecting you to share and us not share, but I had the same experience with my father. So that's so I really resonate that. And that the fact that you were able to like even go through that, and then you said you opened up another Chance Refuge
2 months after.
So like what inspired that? Like what made you open up another house?
Well, it's funny because while I was in the process of taking care of my mom, I had a brick and mortar, my for-profit, where I'm a certified life coach, published author, and motivational speaker. And so I had a community peer come tell me I needed to start a nonprofit. And I always knew that I was supposed to help people. I always wanted to help people. And so when they presented it to me, they said I wasn't moving fast enough. And this was while I was taking care of my mom. And so shortly right before my mom passed, the person came back to me and said, hey, you're taking too long. I have the person that is going to build the nonprofit for you. You just have to pay them. And so my mom passed in September 2019. In November 2019, I formed Another Chance. But it came from the love of wanting to just help people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was, so like, I noticed the location, when I pulled up, I was like really amazed to see where it was too. Like, and when David was telling me about it, I thought, that's like a, some facility like uptown, but you are literally in the heart of, of an area where there is great need. And a lot of people are not brave enough or bold enough to do that. What inspired you to, place it here? And can you describe where here is too?
We are in West Charlotte. We are between Bettysford Road and LaSalle Street, one of the most marginalized and underserved areas in Charlotte, in Mecklenburg County. And we're right on Kennesaw Drive. But this is home for me.
Okay.
Yeah, this is home. This is my humble beginnings. I come from a small town of Florence, South Carolina. I come from marginalized rural areas. And so I know what it's like. I experienced it. And so whenever the opportunity presented itself, there was no fear because I was comfortable and I was familiar.
Okay, awesome. I love that. The same too. Like I'd rather be here in my neighborhood than being anywhere else. I feel like I wouldn't love what I do as much if I
absolutely
outside. So, okay.
That is true.
The gentlemen, how many gentlemen do you are currently at Another Chance?
Currently, we have 10 men.
Okay.
And we house a maximum of 11, so we're just one short.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 10 men here.
How do you go about that process? I'm sure there's like a great need. So how do you go about like choosing the men that,
So we understand our program is not for everyone, because it is a structured and it's a disciplined program. And so we do interview. We vet. We most definitely vet. We do give another chance because that's who we are. But we got to make sure that they're ready, and prepared to go through the trials, the challenges, the triumphs, and know that they have someone standing with them and for them.
So what was that like during COVID? Like, did you bring them here to interview them? How did they find you?
Word of mouth.
Okay.
It was definitely word of mouth. Got into the community, started talking to people, shared what it was. It was challenging at first. It was very challenging. Actually, we only had 2 people in this house for a month by themselves. And so originally we had the model of just 9. Every individual had their own room. But then growing a year and a half later in the transitional housing space, we understood and we saw that it was the greatest need. And so we opened up more space to be able to house more. We went from 9 to 11.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see yourself opening up another location?
Yes, the goal is facility, 70 to 100 unit facility.
Oh, wow.
That's what I'm working on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to do it. I'm just double checking, making sure.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Take a breather. Sometimes I know I'll be so excited, going.
This flows for me, girl. Do what you do.
Good.
Do what you do.
Awesome.
I'm here for it.
Awesome. So,
this is easy.
There was, I know we talked about facilities. It was a question. What's been the most challenging thing about this process?
Funding.
Okay.
Funding. It's definitely been challenging with funding because it requires a lot to take care of, to run this type of program, this type of model. And so having this model, we provide all the supplies, we provide all the daily life essentials, we provide the food and canned goods and perishables. And so that requires a lot within itself. It's almost like you're taking care of your home and 11 other people, 15 other people homes as well. Mm-hmm. And so funding has been a challenge. But I will say, through the grace of God, yes, He has covered and sustained us without one grant money, without one grant. And so we are sustainable with or without a grant.
Oh, wow.
And that's the amazing part about it.
That is absolutely amazing. I have to ask, too, this is not even in here. So you are a nonprofit organization.
Yes, we are 501c3.
Okay. So has there been difficulty getting grants or getting those approved?
It was. Okay. It was a challenge. First year we was feeding. We were food and nutrition before we got into the housing piece, right? And so we had got a couple small grants. The biggest grant that we had ever got from our food and nutrition was $2,000. Mm-hmm. The rest of it was just donations, community support, and things like that. But then when we got into the house, again, it came from the community. Mm-hmm. It came from the community. It came from our residents. Everyone has to pay to live in this world. And so for a small fraction of the cost of what we don't even charge market value, for a fraction of the cost with all of the services included, it's a win-win. Mm-hmm. So we provide everything, not only just the daily life essentials to live on a day-to-day basis, but we case manage them. We help them reach their goals. Mm-hmm. We assist them with creating the life that they desire.
Okay, that's so awesome. And it seems too, they care a lot for each other. Can you describe the family dynamic between the men?
It is family. When you come to another chance, you're coming into a family. Even after you leave here, you have a family. And so knowing and understanding, because I too came from humble beginnings, and I know what it's like to have a support system, a supporting cast, and we are the supporting cast for many of these individuals, because they don't have anyone. If they didn't have us, they wouldn't have anyone. They would be out here in the world frustrated and even going back into recidivism because of the struggle and survival mentality. Mm-hmm. And so we are family, regardless of what. The good, the bad, the ugly, the great. Yeah. We are family.
The good, and you don't have to go into anything that you don't want to go into. Mm-hmm. So
I'm transparent.
So what's the good and the bad? What has been some of the, I guess, establishing trust has to be something that's really important. Yes. What has been? Can you give me an example of what the good looks like and what the ugly looks like?
So the good looks like being relatable, right? Understanding, hey, I have a family member that's in prison, or I have a family member that is disabled. And so I support my family, I support you. Meeting a person where they are, that's the good. The ugly is you're dealing with mindsets. You're dealing with conditioned and programmed mindsets. And it takes a lot more for some than do others. And sometimes you got some that don't want to. Mm-hmm. You have to be okay with that as well, and know and understand that everyone don't want help. Mm-hmm. And so you have to have that boundary and draw that fine line. And unfortunately, everyone is not ready. Mm-hmm. And we understand that here at Another Chance.
That's beautiful. I think that that separates a lot of people, not even just organizations too, but people that come and they have these intents, but they're not prepared, to receive what it is, what that person is facing, how they, interpret that too, or sometimes it's not up to our interpretation. It's just meeting people where they are. So how do you meet them where they are? How do you protect yourself mentally? If you understand what I'm asking.
Mentally, it's just through effort and practice. Mm-hmm. Every day is a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so knowing that we have to have boundaries, right? And we have to self-care, because one thing's for sure and two things for certain, there's going to always be a need in the world and in the community. You just have to have those boundaries on knowing when to help and when to not help. Mm-hmm. And so I have learned and mastered that craft. And so it works. It definitely works. I understand that many things are out of my control. And I know that surrendering to the process and surrendering to the flow produce greater results than resisting.
Okay, absolutely. I'm going to get your masterclass on that, okay? Okay, let me see something here. So, great conversation. So, what do you remember of the early days of COVID? What did you do during the lockdown?
During COVID, I was an essential worker. Another chance we're an essential worker. During COVID, we provided food. We provided food to the individuals that was living in the tents, individuals that were living in the woods, individuals that were living in hotels. We provided food and we provided daily essentials. Additionally, we partner with Mecklenburg County Health partner with us, and anyone that tested positive, we actually went and provided them with care packages. We delivered and dropped it on their porch for them to be able to sustain.
Did you ever catch COVID during that time? Wow.
Never had COVID.
So were you scared going out there, especially in those early days? I know people were spraying down boxes and stuff.
No.
Wow. So what did you say to yourself? What gave you that confidence, that boldness to go out there?
I knew there was a higher power, and I knew that I was serving a purpose, and I knew that I was being obedient to what I was called to do. And I knew that as long as that I remained obedient, I was always going to be protected.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Everybody and their mama around us had COVID. Mm-hmm. Me or Nat. I have 3 children. I have a 24, I have a 12, and I have an 8. Neither one of us had COVID.
Wow.
Never.
Wow. Did your what? I'm trying to figure out this example. So you have children.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of questions I have. What do you hope to like I guess teach them, to pass on to them doing this work?
Believe in themselves. They can do anything that they put their minds to, and they have someone that's going to support them regardless of what path they take in life.
I think, and just to see that like you really are about what you say and what you do. So that's a remarkable example. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to teach them, but to see it is like. And I know that had to be a sacrifice too, and you're apart from a lot of, what you had to do. So
a lot of growing because I wasn't brought up that way.
Wow.
And so I was always determined to be greater than what I came from. And so it all starts in the mind. Very early on when I was a young girl, even down to the things that I did as a child, that nurtured me into who I am today. I knew that I wanted greater. I knew that there were greater. And I'm grateful for my mom because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at. She knew growing up in a rural town that there was a glass ceiling, right? There was a cap. And so she moved us from that rural area and brought us to a near city for us to thrive.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Hey, Mom.
Yes.
For having a vision. That tugs at my heart too. My mom was going through something similar with her heart. She moved in with us. But Mom, why you do this and why you do that? But she did what she knew how to do to take us from where we were to give us a better life. So I connect with that so much. Mm-hmm. Thank God for mothers.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Have your friendships or family relationships changed during the pandemic?
Yes.
Okay.
Another bittersweet thing. I lost a lot of friends. I didn't have a lot of friends because I've never been just this whole, I have to have a friend or I got to be liked. But the people that I had close to me were from my childhood, were from my conditioning. And I knew that I needed to change my environment. I knew that I needed to create and establish healthy relationships because I didn't know what healthy relationships were until I started moving and growing in myself. And so I lost friends. I did. When my mom passed, I'll say this, when my mom passed, everything that was old and passed away passed with her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I started new. They say death brings new beginnings. It brought a complete new beginning to my life in every area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I lost friends.
Yeah.
I gained even greater ones.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
that's
I gained greater ones, for sure.
And especially for, I feel like when you're going through, new life stages, you got to get people to match where you're going, not where you've been.
There you go.
Feelings,
None at all.
it is what it is.
That's just it. That's just it.
Okay. So, was there a time you stepped in to help someone affected by COVID-19? We talked about that. So if you want to go into that more.
Yeah, I actually had a couple residents test positive for COVID. And we're testing positive for COVID. Of course, they had a quarantine, and that's kind of difficult living in a shared living space. And so we just made sure that we had parameters in place, always been clean, always sanitized, always look behind and take behind yourself. And so it worked. We had two that actually caught COVID, and then we had another one that got the COVID vaccine and then caught COVID. And so it was great because no one else in the house got sick. Yeah, so we took all the parameters needed, sanitizing, making sure that they isolate, sliding stuff to their door as they need it to support them.
And that's really hard too, because I know from when we, in my household, like one of us got COVID, but it was hard to upkeep the house even with just, people that you know what I'm saying? How did y'all go about that? Like, because y'all already have like a family base, like a family tie. Mm-hmm. So did people like delegate duties of who was going to like sanitize, clean what, who was going to cook? You know what I'm saying?
As a family unit, they just jumped in and did it together.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have to tell them. They knew the expectation of keeping the house clean. They knew that that was one of my bad areas, right? You can keep my house clean.
Understand.
Yeah, and so they always made sure that they look behind each other. Again, we're family, and so if it's one is down, everyone else around is coming in to help.
I love it. I'm actually since you're talking more towards me, I'm gonna see if I can do this.
Okay.
I think that makes more sense. I'm sure I thought about it earlier. Okay, cool. All right. So we kind of talked about this too. Describe your experience going out in public at the height of the pandemic. What did it feel like wearing a mask and gloves?
Wearing a mask and gloves was so frustrating for me. It was so frustrating, but I always made sure that I practiced 6 feet. And I've always been a person that's been clean and sanitized, so I kept hand sanitized. I still do today. But the biggest thing, it was anal. It was very frustrating for me. And so there were many times I always kept myself separate from everyone. Even though I was in the community, I wasn't in the community. Okay. I always kept myself separate. And so let's just hypothetically say, that's 6 feet, I gave 10. Okay, 10 or 20. You're over there, I'm over here. We'll help and support. No, stay over there. Keep your mask on. I'm going to keep mine on. Yeah. And so I always was good at just keeping myself in my own bubble.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the mask was frustrating. So I would take it off as long as I'm in my own bubble.
Okay. I understand that too. And that had to be difficult too, especially as you serving people that are, displaced from their homes and whatnot too. Mm-hmm. And then for me, it was really hard for the human connection part. You know what I'm saying? How people needed just a hug and, we had to be 6 feet and whatnot. So, okay. Sure.
Even with the families, it's funny. I'm going to give you the families that was in Tent City. Well, they weren't in Tent City because we serve Matthews. We serve the suburbs, Matthews and surroundings, because typically you think that there isn't a need out there, but there's a need out there as well. And so we focused on them. And because they never really had anybody to focus on them, they opened their homes to us. They lived in the woods. They actually took us on tours to their home in the woods.
Wow.
Yeah, we gave them propane tanks for them to be able to continue to cook. We gave them new tarps, sleeping bags, water, whatever that looked like for them. And one of the wonderful things, the air we breathe, right? It's a blessing. And we take it for granted. And even with the air outside, breathing in that fresh air from the Creator, saying, individuals say, oh, well, you got to be mindful, it's in the air. Air is the first thing you have and the first thing that leaves you. Mm-hmm. And so when you understand in that manner, you're out in public, you're out as long as you keep your 6 to 10 feet, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just respect each other's boundaries.
So, and that is interesting because you said so. Even there's a need. You said in Matthews. That's something that I never, really thought about. Mainly because maybe we're county and stuff, and it's been my home. And you establish a trust where they were able to take you, to their home. How did that what did that feel like? How did that feel? And how did you testify? I guess not even testify, but can you share what they were feeling like during the pandemic? Like, did they feel like they were forgotten, left out? Like, how were they feeling? Non-pandemic.
Sharing it with you, like looking back on it, I'm grateful for this interview first and foremost. It's bringing up a lot of emotions. I will say they were grateful because we weren't coming to be nosy. We weren't coming to exploit. We were truly coming to help. They knew that and they felt that. And that's what allowed them to be open to us. So they were listening. They called all the time, Miss Shakieta, where's your team? Where's everybody? Are you coming out this Sunday? But yeah, you establish that level of trust and seeing their homes. It was humbling. Me coming from humble beginnings and coming from a rural area and seeing my great grandmother take care of a lot of my family members, come in and out, and she feeding them, and it goes all deep back into ancestral lineage because my mom and my great grandmother did this, and that's who raised me. And so even as a small child growing up, it was embedded into me, and I didn't even know it. And so it wasn't until this year that I connected and had that aha moment of my ancestors. I've taken the torch. They've given me the torch, and I'm grateful that I was chosen to lead because I'm leading with excellence.
So that's awesome. I love this year has been the year of aha.
Yes.
Like I can really understand, even the past, as dark as the past few years were for many of us, for multiple reasons, even outside of COVID, it was like, you know what? I understand why I went through what it is that I went through. Yes. And, now I feel like we're all trying to live to a purpose versus just kind of like, at least us in our communities, instead of just trying to climb over on top of each other. It's like there's a need out here. What would you tell your old self, like in December 2019? What would you now tell yourself then in December 2019?
Continue to trust yourself. Continue to be obedient. And know that you aren't perfect. Know that things aren't going to always be in the manner that you want it to be. But as long as you trust and surrender to the process, I'll take care of itself.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yeah. So has the pandemic changed your normal routine?
No.
Okay.
I had to think about that. No.
And that can be interpreted so many ways.
Right.
What is a normal routine?
I will say for me, in a certain degree it did. Like I was already clean, right? I was a clean person. But like even since COVID, it has me more consciously aware, right? Even though we are at the peak or the plateau of COVID, but still, when I go to the gas pump, it's hand sanitizer. When I touch a door, it's hand sanitizer, because knowing that we are fighting things that is much greater than our human selves, you have to know how to equip yourself. And so all the way around, because you have to be practical and logical, right? And know that you do have a creator that protects you, but you still have to take your means and measures. And so that's what I do. I'm more consciously aware of the ill things that's out here in the world that can attach itself to you if you're not open and aware.
Absolutely. So here's a question here. What are some long-lasting consequences of the pandemic? And I also want to insert there that when we talk about the pandemic, not only did we experience COVID-19, but there was a heightened realization, I would say, of police brutality. How did you and maybe I'm breaking this up into two questions.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like, how did that impact your work with Another Chance? And what do you think the impact of that will be, the entire experience? Is my question making sense?
It making sense. I'm rich. So you asked me the consequences of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. We can break it down. Let's break it down.
Let's break it down. The consequences of the pandemic. Ask that question one more time.
So what are some long-lasting consequences?
Okay, perfect. Gotcha. Long-lasting consequences of COVID, unfortunately, is the lack of social skills and the lack of being personable. And we were already in a society that feared each other, but COVID made it worse. I would definitely say that there is no personable relationship. There is no unity. There is no family. Everyone is hiding behind technology. And I would definitely say that is the consequence.
And so going back to that, how has technology impacted even the guys that are here? Like, do you see that, as being like an issue, like personable, like being personable too?
So technology, it was bittersweet here. I will say it was bitter because they had to learn a new skill. And with learning the new skills come growing pains, right? Frustration, high emotions. That's the bitter part, but the sweet part is they actually learned. And so they know, because dealing with the marginalized community, especially individuals re-entering society, they don't know technology. And now that we in a world that is driven by technology alone, they fall between the gap, or they're like deer in headlights. And so grateful that COVID allowed us to show them, right? Because they really too much didn't have a choice. It was either you got to do it this way or don't do it at all. And if you want to push your life forward, you got to do it. And so it was that was the sweet part about it. I've watched many guys. It's one of them, be exact, did 19 years in federal prison, and he will always come to me, "Hey, boss lady, can you help me with this?" But he was so calm and cool about it. I knew he didn't know anything, but to open your mouth and ask for help, that is a strength. Yeah, and we actually had many of them ask for help.
That is absolutely true. I never thought about it like that, but you're absolutely right, and that's something that I will take with me. So thank you for that. So as far as, I know you said there were some challenges, like especially with the technology part, they probably have to do like online interviews. How did y'all combat that?
I will be there with them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those things that, hey, you have someone here supporting you, even though you don't understand. I'm not in your business, but I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you, to know that you're not doing this by yourself, so you won't quit.
Okay.
Because they give up easy when they don't have someone there to help them.
Wow. I never thought about that too. And I see a lot of that coming through in the library. People just need someone there to literally just kind of hold their hand.
And walk them through.
Absolutely.
That's it. Meet them where they're at.
Meet them where they're at. That's the thing.
Yes.
So I do want to touch a little bit on, kind of touched on it before. How did the tensions, with, the police brutality and Black Lives Matter, how did that impact your work?
It didn't impact the work. I will say emotionally it affected my residents and the clients that we served. And we spent a lot of time reassuring. Yeah, we spent a lot of time reassuring that, hey, everything is okay. And also helping them understand the positive and the negative, because you're going to always have both. It's which one that you place emphasis on and which one you focus on the most. And so when they try to go right, we take them left.
Okay.
To keep them in that positive state. Because remember, it's all about the mind. As long as you control the mind, you can control your life.
Yeah.